It's the New Year's weekend sale at All-Star Desk, Michigan's largest home furniture showroom. Check us out. Nobody has more to choose from. Nobody beats our prices or top-notch service. Everything is reduced. Every desk, file, and bookcase. Every chair, wood, upholstery, even leather chairs. Every manufacturer is on sale. Lane, Bassett, Herman Miller, Lazy Boy, and many, many more. Hurry, it all ends Monday at 9 p.m.
All-Star Desk. Office furniture that makes your home work. Uh-oh.
The Mako Supreme Paint Sale is on now. Our Supreme Paint service is now twice as good at half the price. Now only $150. The Mako Supreme Paint Service wraps your car in a Durability Plus high-grade enamel finish. It's so durable, it's backed in writing by over 500 Mako centers coast to coast. Come to your local Mako and get a $299 Supreme package for only $150. The Mako Paint Sale. So if you want your car painted for half price, say, uh-oh, better get Mako. Call 1-800-523-1180 for the Mako Center nearest you.
Have you seen this man? He's wanted for murder, and the victim's family thinks Michigan militia members may be hiding him. Tonight at 11, fugitives. One could be living or working next to you. Plus, one of the nation's biggest manhunts began with murder in Michigan. What finally tipped off police? Mike Lewis reports on the Night Beat at 11 after The Fugitive on Channel 4. The celebration for the national champions continues in Ann Arbor. Running back Clarence Williams joins us in studio to recap it all. Sports Final Edition tonight at 11:30 on Channel 4. From the award-winning Newsbeat team, this is the Newsbeat at 6.
It was a victory party that Ann Arbor had been waiting for 50 years, and certainly freezing temperatures weren't enough to keep the fans away. As cold as it was for the University of Michigan Wolverines, this was a day to bask in the sun. Good evening, I'm Lila Lazarus.
And I'm Dan Mountney. Thousands were reveling in the cheers, enjoying every moment of today. After all, this was one of the happiest January days Ann Arbor has ever seen. And it seemed like the entire city was singing Hail to the Victors.
The Newsbeat's Bob Bennett was at the parade, savoring the moment and maybe even singing Hail to the Victors. Huh, Bob?
Oh, well, you know, I sing dreadfully, but I did my best, Lila. You know, this is the place where they're holding the pep rally, the giant pep rally. It starts about an hour from now. First, the parade this afternoon, and now the pep rally. And as you said, it seems like all of Ann Arbor is turning out for this event to show the Wolverines that even though they were named national co-champions, in the hearts of fans around here, they are definitely number one. It was a perfect winter afternoon for playing football or staging a parade. The sun stayed out and few in the crowd paid any attention to the brisk wind that whipped through downtown Ann Arbor. This was the day to honor the victors. The throng cheered Heisman Trophy winner Charles Woodson and the national co-champion Wolverines.
They did a good job. I'm so happy for Michigan. Number one. Number one. It should, no co-champions. Number one. That's straight up. No Nebraska, no anything.
We're number one,
You didn't feel just a little bit let down because they're not number one alone?
No, it's not a letdown at all. We know we're number one. Number one.
Okay, but what would happen if tomorrow Michigan would go out and go up against the Huskies? What do you think would happen?
They would crush Nebraska by 50. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They could beat Nebraska any day, any time. Tom Osborne had 3 national titles. Michigan's the first title in 50 years, and they deserve to be number one by themselves. But I'm waiting. I've been waiting for this all my life, so I'm glad we're number one at least.
It was a very successful parade, fitting for the best football season Old Blue has enjoyed in the last 50 years.
Well, I thought it was about time that Michigan got the Rose Bowl and national championship because they worked hard for it. And, you know, as a long-termer at this school, I'm really proud of what they did and how they did it. And they worked hard to get to where they are, even though Nebraska wanted to take first place. As far as I'm concerned, in Michigan, Nebraska's still number 2.
The big sign outside the Chrysler Arena where people are filing in now. Chrysler Arena didn't open its doors until 5:30, just about a half hour ago. But would you believe we saw people standing in line out here out in the cold waiting at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And if you're sitting at home and you say, well, that pep rally doesn't start for another hour or so, I think I'll head out that way, you're going to be out of luck because you've got to have a ticket, and just about all of the tickets are gone. Live from Ann Arbor, Bob Bennett on the Newsbeat.
Okay, Bob. It's day 2 of the North American International Auto Show. Hundreds and thousands, actually, heading to Cobo Center to see the glitz, glamour, and the cars. The Newsbeat's Laurel Hess reports.
Ladies and gentlemen, Howard is entering the Beetle.
It's called the Auto Show, but this year there's a lot more to tell, especially at the all-new Volkswagen Beetle display, where touching is encouraged and audience participation is the name of the game.
You can have total access to the internet, and you can be able to make your own Beetle, and that's what all of those pictures over there, people that have sent in their Beetles and they're being judged.
If computers aren't your thing, that's okay. A turn of the head reveals a giant, very low-tech machine spitting out plastic goodies made from recycled brake lights of all things.
It's a Volkswagen pen holder, and we've been standing in line for about an hour to get one.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it, yeah.
I love it. I waited an hour and a half. I love it.
It's worth it?
Yes.
What you need to do is go out there, find a game scout.
The Beetle display pulls out all the stops. There is something to catch just about everyone's eye, including this little bug. Nobody here is asking folks not to touch.
I wouldn't drive it, but I think it's an eye catcher. I think it shows the different kinds of designs that they've had throughout the years, and it's a lot of fun. They've done a great job for the Beetles.
There's even an ear catcher for the kids. Step on one of these special electronic spots and you can hear the Beetle theme song, as if you hadn't heard it already. Yes, the new bug has a way of attracting visitors by simply doing nothing. But Volkswagen is making sure if you come to visit, you won't be bored.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's there's a lot more than I thought there would be.
That was Laurel Hess reporting. More on the Auto Show tonight at 11.
Well, the ice is melting, but the ice storm of '98 continues its frozen grip on the northeastern U.S. and Canada. In Maine, 500,000 people are still without electricity. The National Guard has been called out in New Hampshire. And in New York, helicopters are searching thousands of square miles for anyone stranded without food, heat, or medicine. Canada is also hard hit, and Detroit Edison is coming to the rescue there. A convoy of trucks left this morning for Montreal, bound for a mission of mercy for a neighbor in need. For 2 days now, millions of electric customers in Quebec have been without power. The province's utility company powerless to restore service to so many customers without some outside help.
We've got such extensive experience in the restoring service for our customers. You might recall the last 2 or 3 storms we had from last year, and we were able to restore our customers in pretty record time. And I think that's one of the reasons why they called us.
Edison is sending nearly 200 linemen and 125 trucks. Once they get there, they will replace fallen wires and busted poles. But the 12 to 14-hour trek is a logistical nightmare for such a large and foreign convoy.
What we had to do was identify all the folks that were going to cross the border, the Social Security numbers, the vehicle numbers. In addition to that, we've had folks, because it's such a long drive, it's going to be 12 to 14 hours, out in front of these crews making arrangements for fuel stops and food. And then tonight, we'll have to make accommodations for lodging as well.
Now, in the past, Detroit Edison has received help from other utility companies as part of a mutual aid pact. Now it's their turn to return the favor, but Edison customers won't be paying the bill. The utility will bill Hydro-Quebec for equipment and overtime.
Detroit police are investigating the suspicious death of a man whose body was found in a burning house. Fire officials responded to a fire at a home in the 6,000 block of Siegal on Detroit's southwest side. They found the unidentified victim in the basement of the house. The cause of the death has not yet been determined, but it appears the man may have died from a head injury.
The man police believe is the notorious lipstick bandit was arraigned today in his bed at a Troy hospital. The bank robbery suspect, known for wearing a blonde wig and lipstick before committing a number of robberies, was caught by Troy police Friday after allegedly robbing an NBD branch in Troy. Suspect Donald Alvin Andrews injured his ankle while trying to escape from police. He was arraigned at Beaumont Hospital and charged with armed robbery, assault, and fleeing police. His bond set at $1 million. Alarming information tonight about students and weapons. More than 600 Michigan students reportedly have been expelled over the past 3 years for bringing weapons to school. Nearly half of the expulsions were in the Detroit area. Detroit, the state's largest school district, kicked out 118 students for carrying guns, knives, brass knuckles, and other weapons to class.
Getting from point A to point B will be a lot harder for hundreds of folks who depend on Detroit's transit system. Detroit will no longer provide bus transportation to the suburbs as of this Friday. The elimination of the 14 routes is expected to strand about 1,500 riders each day. Officials with the Detroit Department of Transportation say the system cannot afford to improve services in the city, plus provide transportation to the suburbs. Smart, the suburban carrier, says it has no plans to make any changes to its usual routes.
Still kind of on the cold side today, but at least we had a little more sunshine again today for an encore performance.
So you two must have loved it.
Yeah,
it was cold. I took the trash out and just froze. But it looked pretty when you're sitting inside by a window. It wasn't too bad. You know, we have our time-lapse photography working throughout the day today, and we take you to Ann Arbor, where our Skycam network was busy grabbing this shot as we went through the day. Sunshine and clouds. It looked beautiful. Doesn't it look nice when we're sitting here in a nice warm studio watching that? But temperatures during most of the day were in the 20s, and factor in the wind, it felt closer to 10 degrees for a good portion of the day. For this evening, still going to be a little chilly if you're out and about. Partly cloudy skies, temperatures dropping through the 20s towards the teens. So it's going to be another chilly night tonight. Now, what does this all mean for tomorrow when some moisture arrives? Will it be rain? Will it be snow? Only your weatherman knows for sure, and I'll have the answer.
Or at least I'll make a really good educated guess.
I'll give it my best guess coming up. See you in a bit.
Thanks, George. A medical breakthrough in the fight against AIDS tonight. Just ahead, we'll tell you about a new AIDS vaccine that's ready for human testing.
Shock and disbelief after a double murder-suicide on a U.S. Air Force base. Details next on the Newsbeat.
You're watching Channel 4's Newsbeat, winner of the Associated Press Award for General Television Excellence.
It may be winter here, but it's still summer in Florida. Let Spirit Airlines take you there from just $65 each way. Just $65, but only until February 10th. Fly to Tampa, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Myers. Just $65 for a limited time only. Call your travel agent or Spirit Airlines today at 1-800-772-7117. Yep, it's still summer in Florida, but these fares just won't last.
Catch the spirit of Spirit Airlines.
How they see you is up to you.
I was invisible, and now I can see. Look at me, looking at you.
Every frame we carry is 30 to 50% off.
I was invisible, and now I can see.
DOC. That's why we call them sexy specs.
Yeah.
I know I can't go on.
Here's one special evening of entertainment you won't soon forget. The legendary Wayne Newton, live in concert.
Thank you for all the joy.
This Friday night at 8 at the Palace of Auburn Hills. The spectacular Wayne Newton. Tickets are on sale now at the Palace box office, all Ticketmaster locations, or charged by phone. Don't miss the incomparable Wayne Newton.
Covering America Now, an argument over a woman apparently provoked yesterday's double murder-suicide at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Air Force officials say Senior Airman Devon Brown killed fellow airman Derek Moore early Saturday, then fatally shot a military police officer before killing himself. Moore's widow says her husband recently talked a woman out of going out with Brown, which led to an argument between the two men. The Palm Springs Film Festival will honor the late Sonny Bono with an annual film award in his name. Bono founded the festival after becoming mayor 9 years ago. The two-term congressman died in a skiing accident last week. And the lunar prospector has maneuvered into orbit around the moon in America's first moon mission in 25 years. The spacecraft will search for frozen water at the moon's shadowy poles and signs of minerals and gases. The prospector's year-long mission also includes mapping the moon's surface and magnetic field.
Covering your world now, a memorial service in Pakistan turns into a bloodbath. Witnesses say gunmen opened fire for 3 to 4 minutes in a Shiite Muslim graveyard during the middle of a prayer service. At least 20 people were killed. 30 others were injured in the attack. The gunman apparently escaped in a Jeep. The graveyard has only one entrance, so it was impossible for victims to escape. Officials say it's part of a wave of violence between rival militant groups. More health concerns for Pope John Paul II tonight. As he entered the Sistine Chapel this morning for a baptismal ceremony, he suffered a momentary dizzy spell caught on tape by Italian television. The 77-year-old pontiff paused. He placed his forehead against his staff before starting to fall, but he was immediately caught by one of his aides. The Pope then went on to lead the 2.5-hour ceremony, followed by his customary Sunday blessing in St. Peter's Square.
In good health, a promising step tonight in the fight against AIDS. A California company has won FDA approval to start testing a new AIDS vaccine on humans. The study will begin sometime this year and will take 3 years to complete. It will involve 7,500 healthy volunteers and is expected to cost more than $20 million. The treatment uses a protein that helps bind the AIDS virus together and stimulates the body to create antibodies against the virus.
It was a tight one for the Red Wings today at the Joe.
And Reggie Brown speaks out about his injury and life. Sports is next.
Diet alert. Want to drop those pounds you packed on during the holidays? Want to find out what your ideal weight is? What are the best exercises for you? Plus losing weight with herbs and trimming those trouble spots. All next week at 5. The Newsbeat has the ultimate guide to shaving up and dropping those pesky pounds. Lila cares about you and your family. In her Good Health Report, she'll show you how to win the Battle of the Bulge. Feeling great in 98, beginning Monday on the Newsbeat at 5 on Channel 4.
Take a walk on the wild side. It's wild at the Detroit Zoo.
When the survival of the tiny Partula snail was in question, the Detroit Zoo jumped to the rescue. Using award-winning breeding techniques developed at the zoo, many of these slippery slugs are now being reintroduced to their native home on an island in the South Pacific. Get the whole snail tale and more when you take a walk on the wild side at the Detroit Zoo.
Take a walk on the wild side. It's wild at the Detroit Zoo.
If you bought a lot of things this year, you could have some hefty credit card bills. But you can get rid of those bills and get a clean start on the new year with a home equity loan from the Money Store. It will let you pay off that stack of high-rate bills with one low monthly payment. It may even be tax deductible. So if you own a home, get a clean start on the new year, even if your credit is less than perfect. Just call the Money Store at 1-800-LOAN-YES.
It was a celebration long waited for in Ann Arbor today. Quite a celebration.
You Michigan people really know how to have a party.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, the celebrating for the University of Michigan's national championship football team goes on and on and on. And of course, it's not just for the players, it's for news anchors. And there are hundreds of thousands of fans at the parade through downtown Ann Arbor today. You see Brian Greasy and Charles Woodson riding together with Woodson's Heisman Trophy close by. I'll bet they strapped that big piece of hardware in a seatbelt. The parade was actually a late add to today's scheduled festivities because the rally tonight at Chrysler Arena can't possibly accommodate all the fans who want to salute their champions, so the players bundled up and waved to the masses this afternoon as a prelude to the rally. There's Marcus Ray warming up to the frigid weather and the chants of the crowd. The AP National Championship Trophy was there, of course, and we'll have more highlights of this and tonight's Chrysler Arena rally, as well as Michigan running back Clarence Williams joining us in studio tonight on Sports Final Edition. Now, Lloyd Carr is going to have to mix in a night's sleep. He just got back into town from the Rose Bowl victory Thursday afternoon, but you'll get no complaints from Carr about his sleepless schedule of late. There is a time to work and a time to enjoy.
There are going to be some special moments here to reflect and to try to savor the championship. Bill Walsh, I talked to him yesterday for a moment. He said, Lloyd, whatever you do, make sure that as much as possible that you and your coaches and your players savor this moment because they're very hard to achieve and they go very quickly.
All right, after today's NFL action, we'll have our 2 Super Bowl contestants and 2 cotton-picking weeks to talk about it. But one half of the Super Bowl rung was filled today, and the other is being decided right now in the NFC Championship game in San Francisco. In that, the Green Bay Packers are trying to secure their 2nd straight trip to the big dance and lead the 49ers 10-3 in the 3rd quarter. Now, the winner of that game is in the big show on Super Sunday against the Denver Broncos, a 5th-time appearance in the Super Bowl for the Bronx after their gut-wrenching 24-21 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game today. The Broncos did all of their scoring in the first half. Terrell Davis gets the good blocking, finds the hole, 43 yards on this run. It led to a Davis touchdown to finish the drive a bit later. The AFC's answer to Barry Sanders had 139 yards rushing. Now, the Steelers tied it up, though. The AFC's answer to Randall Cunningham, Cordell Stewart fakes, goes around the end as he does so well, 33 yards in the touchdown, but also true to form, Stewart threw 3 interceptions. Later in the second, Broncos down 14-10. John Elway in his 16th playoff game dumps off to Howard Griffith. He goes the rest of the way for the touchdown, his first of the year. In the final corner, Pittsburgh trailing 24-14. Stewart hooked up with Charles Johnson to cut the deficit to 24-21. But the Broncos held on and are headed to San Diego for another trip to the Super Bowl. All right, as these so-called life or death games are being played, we are reminded of what is really life and death, and nobody is more aware of that than the injured Lion, Reggie Brown, whose condition continues to improve. Tonight at 7 o'clock here on Channel 4, an NBC Dateline exclusive interview with Reggie. In the interview, he reveals how he feared for his life but isn't mad at the sport.
No, I'm not angry at the game. It's just, you know, something that happened, you know, casualty of war. So, you think you're lucky to be alive? I would say I'm definitely lucky to be alive. And I'm definitely lucky and blessed, you know, to be in the situation I am now.
All right, you'll see that interview in its entirety tonight, 7 o'clock, about 30 minutes from now on NBC Dateline. At Joe Louis Arena today, the crowd fought the auto show traffic and a nasty accident in the lodge, but got there in time to witness the Red Wings' 2nd shutout of the week. I'm sure most were well in their seats by the time Kirk Maltby and Washington's Kelly Miller squared off. Miller, the former Spartan, jumped on Maltby along the boards pretty good, got his shots in before Maltby was able to finally get an arm loose and retaliate. It was scoreless, though not fightless, until the 3rd period when the Wings got on the board. Larry Murphy's shot stopped, but the ever-present Igor Larionov there to knock in the rebound, 1-0 Wings. Chris Osgood, not to be outdone by his goalie partner Kevin Hodson earlier in the week, got the goose egg today, stopping Sergei Gonchar there. Slava Kozlov added a late empty net goal for a 2-0 Red Wing victory. College hoops today, the University of Detroit Mercy had an 11-game winning streak snapped on the road at Illinois Chicago. For UIC, the Flames got the penetration from a main man, Konstantin Staropoulos. The drive for the hoop and draws the foul. U of D trailed by 13 for Perry Watson, but later Jermaine Watson for the Titans with the jumper. This cut the UIC lead to 3 at 57-54. Titans haven't won 11 straight in 20 years, but they couldn't make it 12. Illinois Chicago closes the door as Theandre Kimbrough nailed the 3-pointer. That put the Titans back down by 5. They fall on the road 88-83 as the streak is over. All right, the U.S. figure skating team is set for the Nagano Olympics, and Michigan will be well represented. The talented Pontiac skating duo of Elizabeth Punselin and Jared
Harris does. That's the side that he